Imagine, just for a second, that Christmas was canceled. I don't mean just missing a party or forgetting to buy a gift. I mean, imagine a world where the holiday spirit doesn't exist. No paid time off, no family dinners, no charity, no Merry Christmas. Just a regular, cold, miserable workday in December. It sounds like a dystopian movie, right? But here's the crazy part. That was actually the reality in England in the early 1800s. Christmas was dying. It was considered an old, outdated festival that nobody really cared about anymore. The Industrial Revolution had turned everyone into machines. Work, sleep, repeat. And then, in 1843, a guy named Charles Dickens wrote a little ghost story. He didn't just write a book, he dropped a cultural bomb. This story didn't just entertain people, it literally invented the way we see Christmas today. The focus on family, the turkey dinner, the giving to the poor, that all comes from this book. The story I'm about to tell you isn't just about a grumpy old man named Scrooge. It's about a mental breakdown, a terrifying look at death, and the most desperate second chance in history. So, grab a hot drink, get comfortable, and let's walk into the London fog. Because we are about to break down the masterpiece that saved Christmas, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Hey everyone, welcome to Talking Books. If this is your first time hanging out with us, here is what we do. We don't just summarize books, we crack them open to find the life lessons buried inside. Today, we are tackling a classic that everyone thinks they know, but trust me, the details in the original book are darker and more profound than any movie version you've seen. Before we meet the ghosts, do me a huge favor. If you love deep dives into great stories, hit that subscribe button below. Join the Talking Books community. We're building something special here, and I don't want you to miss out on what's coming next. Dickens starts this book with a line that is absolutely legendary. He says, "Marley was dead," to begin with. You have to understand, Jacob Marley was Scrooge's business partner, and Dickens makes sure we know Marley is dead as a doornail. This is important because you can't have a ghost story if the guy is still alive, right? Now, let's talk about Ebenezer Scrooge. We use his name as an insult today, but who was he really? Dickens describes him as a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. He's not just cheap, he is cold. The book says, the cold within him froze his old features. He carried his own low temperature around with him. He didn't need a heater because his heart was ice. He's the ultimate workaholic. He's that guy who brags about never taking a day off. The guy who thinks empathy is a weakness. It's Christmas Eve. London is foggy and dark. Scrooge is in his counting house, keeping an eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit. Now, Bob Cratchit is the opposite of Scrooge. He's poor, he's freezing because Scrooge won't let him put coal on the fire, but he still has a spark of humanity. Scrooge's nephew, Fred, bursts in. Fred is basically a human golden retriever, happy, loud, full of Christmas cheer. He yells, "A Merry Christmas, Uncle!" Scrooge gives his famous reply, "Bah! Humbug!" Scrooge argues that Christmas is a scam. It's a time for paying bills without money. A time for finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer. Anyone who celebrates Christmas should be boiled with their own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through their heart. After kicking his nephew out, two men come in collecting money for the poor. They tell Scrooge, "Hey, people are starving. We're raising a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and firing." Scrooge asks, "Are there no prisons? Are the workhouses operational?" He literally says, "If they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the population." Scrooge sees human beings as numbers. He goes home to his dark apartment, and this is where things get spooky. He looks at his door knocker, and for a split second, it's not a knocker, it's Marley's face. He brushes it off. He goes upstairs, double locks his door, puts on his dressing gown, and sits down to eat his gruel, which is like a sad, watery oatmeal. Suddenly, every bell in the house starts ringing. Then, silence. Then, a heavy metallic clanking sound coming from the basement. It gets louder. It comes up the stairs. It comes through the heavy door. And there he is, the ghost of Jacob Marley. Marley looks like he did in life, but he has a long chain wound around his waist. The chain is made of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. Scrooge is terrified, but tries to make jokes. He tells the ghost, "You're probably just a piece of undigested beef, a blot of mustard. There's more of gravy than of grave about you." But then Marley screams and removes the bandage holding his jaw closed, and his jaw drops down to his chest. Scrooge falls to his knees. Marley drops the hard truth. He says, "I wear the chain I forged in life." He explains that because he cared only about money and business, his spirit never walked among his fellow men in life. So now he is condemned to wander the world after death, witnessing the pain he can no longer heal. He tells Scrooge, "Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business." Marley warns Scrooge, "You have a chance, Ebenezer, a chance I never had. 3 spirits will visit you. Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread." Marley flies out the window, joining a sky full of other moaning phantoms, all of them wealthy people who want to help the poor now, but have lost the power to do so. That is their hell, to see the need and be unable to help. Scrooge, exhausted and terrified, passes out. Scrooge wakes up. The clock strikes 1. The curtains of his bed are pulled aside by a strange figure. It's like a child, but also like an old man. It has a beam of light shooting out of its head. This is the ghost of Christmas past. The ghost takes Scrooge by the hand. They fly through the wall, and suddenly they are in the countryside. The air is fresh. The pollution of London is gone. Scrooge recognizes it immediately. It's where he grew up. They see a schoolhouse. It's deserted, except for one lonely little boy reading near a small fire. It's young Ebenezer Scrooge. This is a key moment. We realize Scrooge wasn't born a monster. He was a lonely, neglected kid. His father didn't want him around on holidays. While other kids went home, he stayed at school reading books. Scrooge sees his younger self and starts to cry. He mutters, "There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should have given him something." That's the first crack in the ice. Regret. The scene shifts. A few years later, his little sister, Fan, comes running in. "She's alive," she tells him. "Father is so much nicer now. You can come home." Scrooge loved his sister. The ghost reminds him, "She died a woman, didn't she? She had children?" Scrooge says, "1 child." The ghost says, "Your nephew." Scrooge feels a pang of guilt. Next, they visit a warehouse. It's Christmas Eve again, but years later. Scrooge is a young man, an apprentice. His boss is old Fezziwig. Fezziwig is the best boss ever. He yells, "Yo! No more work tonight! Let's party!" They clear the floor. The fiddler comes in. Mrs. Fezziwig comes in, and they have a massive dance. There is food, beer, laughter. Scrooge is watching this memory, and he's smiling. He's tapping his foot. He's having a great time watching his old self having fun. The ghost asks him, "Why is this so special? Fezziwig just spent a little money, a few pounds." Scrooge gets defensive. He says, "It's not about the money. He had the power to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or toil. The happiness he gave is quite as great as if it cost a fortune." And then Scrooge stops. He realizes what he just said. He thinks about Bob Cratchit, his own clerk. "I should like to say a word or two to my clerk just now," he whispers. Crack number 2. The ghost takes him to a slightly older Scrooge. He's sitting with a beautiful young woman named Belle. She's crying. She tells him, "Another idol has displaced me." Scrooge asks, "What idol?" She says, "A golden one." She breaks up with him. She tells him that he's changed. He used to be afraid of the world, but now he only cares about gain. She releases him from their engagement because she knows he would regret marrying a poor girl. Old Scrooge is begging the ghost, "Show me no more. Take me home." But the ghost shows him one last thing. It shows Belle years later. She's married to another man. She has a house full of loud, happy children. Her husband comes home and says, "I saw your old friend Scrooge today. His partner Marley is dying. He sat there quite alone in the world." Scrooge can't take it. The regret is too heavy. He grabs the ghost's extinguisher cap and jams it down over the light to put it out. But the light leaks out from underneath. You can't kill the truth. Scrooge wakes up in his own bed, exhausted. Scrooge wakes up again. He sees a light coming from the next room. He walks in, and his own cold, boring room has been transformed. There are mountains of turkeys, geese, sausages, pies, puddings, oysters, chestnuts, and sitting on top of this throne of food is a giant, jolly spirit, the ghost of Christmas present. This ghost is all about now, abundance, generosity, the joy of living. They touch the ghost's robe and vanish into the city streets on Christmas morning. It's snowy, slushy, and cold, but the people are happy. They are shoveling snow, calling out to each other, carrying their dinners to the bakers' shops to be cooked. The ghost takes Scrooge to a very poor part of town, to the house of Bob Cratchit. Now, remember, Scrooge pays Bob almost nothing. The family is poor. They have threadbare clothes, but there is zero misery in this house. Mrs. Cratchit is cooking. The kids are setting the table. Bob comes in carrying a little boy on his shoulder, Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim has a crutch and metal braces on his legs. He's crippled and very sick. They sit down for dinner. They are so excited about a goose, which is a cheap bird. But to them, it's a feast. They are grateful for everything. After dinner, Bob raises a toast. "A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us." And Tiny Tim says the famous line, "God bless us, everyone." Scrooge looks at the little boy. He sees how weak he is. He asks the spirit, "Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live." The spirit's face gets serious. "I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die." Scrooge is devastated. "No, no, say he will be spared." And then the spirit hits Scrooge with his own words. He mocks him. If he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Scrooge hangs his head in shame. Hearing his own cruel economics applied to a sweet, dying child destroys him. They travel all over the world, to miners in a hut, to a lighthouse in the raging sea, to a ship. Everywhere, people are humming Christmas tunes and thinking of their families. Finally, they go to Fred's house. They're having a party. They're laughing at Scrooge. Fred says, "I feel sorry for him. He's the one missing out. His wealth is of no use to him. He doesn't do any good with it." They play games. They play yes and no. Fred thinks of something and everyone has to guess. Is it an animal? Yes. Is it a savage animal? Yes. Does it grunt? Yes. Is it a bear? No. Is it Uncle Scrooge? Yes. Even though they are roasting him, Fred toasts to him. "To Uncle Scrooge!" As the night ends, the ghost of Christmas present starts to get old. His hair turns gray. Suddenly, Scrooge sees something moving under the ghost's robe. Two hideous, wretched children crawl out, a boy and a girl. They look starved, wild, and animalistic. Scrooge is horrified. "Spirit, are they yours?" "They are man's," says the spirit. "The boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware them both, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written, which is doom." Scrooge asks, "Have they no refuge or resource?" And the spirit throws Scrooge's words back at him one last time. "Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?" The clock strikes 12. the spirit vanishes, and Scrooge sees a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming towards him like a mist along the ground. This is the scariest part of the book. The ghost of Christmas yet to come. It doesn't speak, it just points. It's shrouded in deep black. Scrooge is terrified. His legs are trembling. He asks, "You are about to show me shadows of the things that have not happened, but will happen?" The ghost just nods. They go into the city, just regular businessmen talking on the street. One guy says, "So, when did he die?" "Last night, I think." "What did he do with his money?" "I don't know. Left it to his company, maybe. He didn't have anyone to leave it to. It's likely to be a very cheap funeral." Another laughs. "I'll go if lunch is provided." Scrooge wonders who they are talking about. Then the ghost takes him to a really bad part of town, a pawn shop run by a guy named Old Joe. 3 people sneak in with bundles. It's Scrooge's cleaning lady, his laundress, and the undertaker's man. They have stolen things from the dead man's house. They act totally shameless. "Who's the worse for the loss of a few things?" says the cleaning lady. "Not a dead man, I suppose?" She opens her bundle. She stole the bed curtains. Old Joe asks, "You mean you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?" "Yes, I did. Why not?" She even stole the shirt off his dead body. Scrooge is watching this, and he is sickened. He realizes that this man died alone, and the people around him are just stripping his corpse for profit, like vultures. He asks the spirit, "Show me someone who feels emotion caused by this man's death." The spirit takes him to a young couple. They are anxious about a debt they owe. The husband comes home. "I have news," he says. "Is it good or bad?" asks the wife. "It is bad," he says, "but there is hope. The man we owed money to is dead." The wife tries to hide it, but she is relieved. "Thank God," she says. The only emotion caused by this man's death is happiness, relief that the monster is gone. Scrooge begs, "Let me see some tenderness connected with a death." The ghost takes him back to the Cratchit house, but it's quiet, too quiet. Mrs. Cratchit is sewing black clothes. Bob comes home. He breaks down crying. He went to the cemetery today. "I wish you could have gone," he tells his wife. "It would have done you good to see how green a place it is, but you'll see it often. I promised him that I would walk there on a Sunday. My little, little child." Tiny Tim is dead. The contrast breaks Scrooge's heart. Tiny Tim was poor, but loved. The rich man was wealthy, but hated. Finally, the ghost takes Scrooge to a churchyard, a graveyard. It points to one specific grave. It's overgrown with weeds, neglected. Scrooge is shaking. He crawls toward the headstone. "Before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point," he cries, "answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be only?" The ghost stays silent. Scrooge wipes the snow off the stone. He reads the name, Ebenezer Scrooge. It's his grave. He is the man nobody mourned. He is the man whose shirt was stolen. Scrooge grabs the spirit's hand. "No, spirit! Oh, no, no! Hear me! I am not the man I was. Why show me this, if I am past all hope? I will honor Christmas in my heart, and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all 3 shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach." He holds up his hands in one last prayer, and the spirit's hood and dress shrink and collapse into a bedpost. Yes, it's his own bedpost. He's back in his room. He is laughing and crying at the same time. He's fluttering around like a bird. "I don't know what to do," he yells. "I am as light as a feather. I am as happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy. Merry Christmas to everybody!" He runs to the window and opens it. No fog, just clear, bright, golden sunlight. He calls down to a boy on the street. "Hey, what day is this?" The boy looks at him like he's crazy. Today? Why, it's Christmas Day. Scrooge realizes the spirits did it all in one night. He hasn't missed it. He tells the boy, "Do you know the poulterer's shop around the corner? Do they still have the prize turkey? The big one? The one as big as you?" "It's hanging there now," says the boy. "Go and buy it," says Scrooge. "I'll give you a shilling. Come back in 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown." He buys the biggest turkey in London and sends it to Bob Cratchit's house, anonymously. He laughs, thinking about their surprise. He gets dressed in his best clothes. He walks out onto the street. He sees the men who were collecting for charity yesterday. He runs up to them. "My dear sir," he says, grabbing the man's hand. "Forgive me for yesterday." He whispers a donation amount in the man's ear. The man gasps. "Lord bless me, my dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?" "Not a farthing less," says Scrooge. "It includes a great many back payments." Then he goes to his nephew Fred's house. He pokes his head in the dining room. "Fred!" "Why, bless my soul," cries Fred. "Who's that?" "It's I, your Uncle Scrooge. I have come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?" Let him in. Fred almost shakes his arm off. It was a wonderful party. The next morning, Scrooge gets to the office early. He wants to catch Bob Cratchit coming in late. And sure enough, Bob is late. 18 minutes late. Bob is terrified. He starts writing fast, trying to make up for lost time. Scrooge does his angry boss voice. "What do you mean by coming here at this time of day?" "I am very sorry, sir," says Bob. "It was only once a year." "Now I'll tell you what, my friend," says Scrooge. "I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer, and therefore—" Scrooge leaps off his stool and pokes Bob in the ribs. "And therefore, I am about to raise your salary." Bob thinks Scrooge has gone insane. He looks around for a weapon to defend himself, but Scrooge is serious. "Merry Christmas, Bob! A merrier Christmas than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary, and we will help your struggling family." And Dickens tells us the ending perfectly. Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. To Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. And that, my friends, is A Christmas Carol. It's more than just a ghost story. It's a blueprint for living a good life. Dickens is telling us that it doesn't matter how far gone you are. It doesn't matter how cynical or money-obsessed or bitter you've become. You can change. You can always change, but you have to wake up. You have to look at your past without regret, look at the present with empathy, and look at the future with the knowledge that our time here is short. The book ends with a quote about Scrooge. It was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. I hope that can be said of us, too, not just on December 25th, but all year round. If this story touched you, or if you learned something new today, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe to Talking Books. We have some amazing stories coming up for the new year that you won't want to miss. I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas, and as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. See you in the next one.